In 2022, I did a quick and dirty video review of Wanko to Kurasou, capitalizing on the announcement of Inupara and how Wanko to Kurasou was the dog girl visual novel before Inupara was cool. But after a full reread, I wanted to do a more updated, comprehensive, and better looking video review than what I did back then when I was new to reviewing visual novels. Wanko to Kurasou, developed by the long defunct Ivory, is an underrated gem in my eyes in the animal girl genre. Despite my initial skepticism towards animal girls and lolly style characters, this visual novel left a lasting impression on me. I think it's way better and more appealing than most catgirl or animal girl visual novels, including NEKOPARA, KaraKara, NEKO-NIN, exHeart, or Amairo Chocolate. What sets Wanko to Kurasou apart is its emphasis on world building. Unlike many animal girl visual novels that offer superficial explanations for their existence with a simple, they're cute, don't think about it, WTK at least delves deeper into the societal implications of human-like animals. The story begins with a poignant exploration of grief as we meet Mikan, a stray dog girl mourning her deceased owner. It's got a unique Nakige-like premise that helps establish an emotional connection with her immediately. Yuichi, our protagonist, reluctantly rescues Mikan, leading to one of the most authentic and heartwarming master-pet relationships I've seen in Japanese media. Through their interactions, we naturally learn about the intricacies of raising a dog girl in this world. Wanko's animal girl world is surprisingly well thought out. Your breed and personality help determine the best career for you, and there are interesting details about caring for dog girls versus real animals. It also explores the emotional responsibilities owners have towards their pets. As Yuichi and Mikan grow closer, he realizes she's best suited for a social worker-like role, using her kindness to help people and animals. This concept extends to another love interest, Nadeshiko, a 30-year-old lolly human who runs a pet store with her dog girl Kotaro. Unlike Mikan, who is more of a therapy dog, Kotaro is closer to a police dog in training, physically powerful but struggling with attachment issues due to past abuse. While the game mostly focuses on the dog girls, there is one cat girl, Ku, who is easily the best side character. She plays into cat traits like climbing and sneaking around and has some of the goofiest dialogue, especially regarding being in heat. She's also surprisingly supportive, and in general, I liked her as a cat girl heroine, definitely better than most of the NEKOPARA cast. Now that I've talked about the setting, let's get into the characters and routes. Yuichi, while not the most god-tier protagonist or anything, is surprisingly not a boring self-insert like, say, the NEKOPARA protagonist. He actually feels like a real person, if a bit cold and blunt due to his upbringing in a brothel after being abandoned by his parents. This makes him super interesting. He's borderline asexual from all the sensual massages and services he was forced to perform growing up. He can be a bit of a blunt asshole at times, but he has actual development. Getting roped into the animal girl craze changes him in an interesting way. At the very least, he's better than the typical boring virgin protag who can't talk to pretty girls. As for routes, Mikan, Sylvie, and especially Risa are my favorite characters in this game. Mikan's emotional arc about overcoming her previous owner's death was really well done. Sylvie, a rescue dog girl, represents an abused dog in waifu form and develops nicely, and I like her consistent role after she's introduced. But the highlight for me is Risa and her route. She's the sister of Mikan's previous owner, creating natural conflict with Mikan early on. Yuichi helps her and Mikan reconcile, and Risa becomes proactive in rescuing Sylvie in a wholesome way. Her relationship with Yuichi was way better than I expected. At first, Risa, an energetic and seemingly normal girl, struggles with Yuichi's bluntness, but they develop great chemistry. One of the funniest scenes is when Yuichi discovers Risa is a secret, sexually frustrated perv with a box of masturbation material. Instead of shaving her, he becomes her pleasure ally of sorts, using his status as a working adult to help her find better material. This creates an interesting friends with benefits dynamic where they don't actually have sex, but he helps her indirectly in that regard. In turn, she enjoys cooking and ends up rooming with him, both to repay him for Mikan and for the pleasure stuff. Their weird yet wholesome relationship is super entertaining. I won't spoil her actual route, but their relationship arc is just too good. Even on a reread, I was shocked at how much I enjoyed it. There's some melodrama related to Mikan that gets a bit too dark, but I liked the idea behind it. Yuichi, Mikan, Risa, and Sylvie form the strongest group dynamic in the game, whether in serious moments, wholesome slice of life, or even the numerous H scenes and surprisingly sex-positive dialogue. Now getting onto the disappointments I had with this visual novel. I haven't talked much about Nadeshiko, and that's because even in her own route, the game makes it clear she's the incorrect heroine. Her route has interesting ideas, she's jaded about romance due to looking like a kid despite being 30 years old, and her dog girl Kotaro struggles with her own insecurities. But the romance arc with Nadeshiko is completely unsatisfying. Unlike Risa's route, which has one of my favorite friends to lovers stories, Nadeshiko's route basically goes, we can kinda be friends with benefits for now, but that's it. It also more or less directly implies Risa's route is the true ending in Nadeshiko's route. I didn't hate Nadeshiko's route, but it left me very disappointed, especially since Nadeshiko had the potential for great development, but at least Kotaro got some love in this route. Other minor flaws impact my overall score. There are a lot of H scenes, which might make it seem like this title is just a Nukige. If they had cut down on the dog, girl, and heat scenes and spent more time on actual character development, especially for Nadeshiko, more people would see this game for a surprisingly deep animal girl setting it actually is. Some H scenes have cute dialogue that add to the character relationships, but they could have been condensed into just a few H scenes per character. The game as a whole also jumps between genres in a weird but interesting way. It starts Nakige-ish, then shifts to wholesome moege slice of life, then a bunch of sex scenes, then back to more slice of life or Nakige-like writing. I personally love genre mixing when done well, and I think it works here, but if you're the type who prefers a consistent tone, Wanko might feel too all over the place for you. While I liked most of the side characters, they definitely could have been utilized better. Almost all of them have lolly-ish designs, which works for Nadeshiko in a funny, ironic way, but Kana and Seika looking way younger than necessary is just uncomfortable, especially since they have optional H scenes. They could have had way more interesting development with their animal girl pets instead. Lastly, this is a game that released in the mid-2000s in Japan, so it's kind of clunky in looks and functionality. It has an 800 by 600 resolution, awkward right-click menu, and lack of modern VN quality of life features that make it a bit of a pain to read at times compared to modern visual novels. It's not unreadable, just outdated. But honestly, even with those minor issues, I still think Wanko to Kurasou absolutely holds up. It's just a shame it's stuck as a fan translation. If it had a modern remaster or even remake with updated visuals and less lollification, I'd easily recommend this over something like NEKOPARA. While NEKOPARA is 100% style over substance, Wanko to Kurasou has surprising character drama, development, and story and setting depth despite its goofy presentation. Wanko to Kurasou for me rides the line between good and great, so I think it deserves an 8 out of 10. If you want to get it legally, the Japanese version is available on sites like DLsite and DMM, and the fan translation patch is still archived online. Let me know in the comments if you're interested in Wanko to Kurasou or if you've already read it. I'd love to talk about this incredibly underrated title with more people.